Wait, sir, you were?
David Janke, 8428 Eastwood Road. Good evening, Council and Mayor. One of the questions I have is on the matching funds for the bridge. You know, what we were told, we were gonna get so much matching funds, and then we were gonna provide with funds. Then later on, it always adds up to a whole slug of more funds. Like, what did you just add up? So is the federal government gonna match that part of it too? I guess one of my problems is when we go into one of these projects, we're told one thing, and then all of a sudden, there's the moving of the pond, there's the moving of this, there's the moving of that, and now we've got, what is it, $90,000 more added, or
85.
$85,000?
The project is now up to $750,000.
So is the federal government's match including those additional costs?
No.
So did we fail when we projected this here to get
Mr.
the
Janke,
real cost?
Would you address me on these issues?
Okay.
Okay.
Did we fail to get the real cost so they could provide a match, or I don't know exactly how that works? Because where I am confused is they match something, percent, and now all of a sudden after this 600,000 match, we now have $85,000 more to pay as a citizen.
There were, the federal government matched on the bridge construction, which was $471,910, and the local match to that was $117,977. In addition to that, there's a bridge design and inspection costs. There are contingency costs that the city must pay for in addition to the grant agreement. Okay? So the maximum that we were going to get from the federal was on the construction of the bridge. All right? Since that time, there have been additional costs. Am I correct, Pam? If I'm not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to...
I thought I saw you raise your hand out of the corner of my eye.
Well, I just wanted to note, most of the additional costs are tied to the change in the ramp design, which was done after the grant was submitted, but after a citizens committee met with the consultant and staff, and they recommended to council that the ramps be changed from this long switchback design to the spiral. Once the council agreed to changing the design, there were other issues that came up that had to do with getting easements and moving the pond. And that's when those additional costs started to tie in, which were not originally in the design sent to the federal government and may or may not be eligible for reimbursement. The feds have just placed an upper limit of $480,000 on what they awarded to the city. So that's where it came from.
Allow me to state here, if I think I'm going to try and get to the heart of your concern. The additional costs on the bridge beyond the original estimates are not because of a lack of expertise or attention by staff or the previous council. Those were things that nobody could have, or no one could have anticipated, okay? For example, some of the things of the undergrounding, the wiring and so forth to accommodate the bridge, the lighting that MnDOT will be required, all of that was added on later that nobody could have foreseen, okay? But what it did was it raised the cost to $750,000 roughly. We're still not through. We don't know all of there's still the acquisition of property costs that we don't know what those will be, whether that be an additional cost or not, or how much. That has to be determined yet. But to get to the bottom line, we have experienced thus far a 25% cost estimate overrun, not cost construction overrun. The consultant has given us some very specific figures on the cost of construction on those estimates. But there's been a 25% cost estimate overrun over the original project. Under our city charter and special assessment projects, if you have a 10% overrun, you don't do the project. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to consider right now.
Right, and that's one of my concerns. Every time we go into a project and we get told, you know, and I don't want to bring up the other project right now because this is important to a lot of people, is we stand here, and I was to one of those meetings. They didn't even have the acquisition. There was an argument with the owner of the property, the Mounds View Square, of whether he was even going to go for it because the bridge would block his site. I mean, none of this was in place, and now we're talking about, like you say, a 25% overrun, and I don't even believe that's the end of it yet. So that's all I'm concerned about. I'm very, very concerned. And I'm not saying I'm going to be for the bridge or I'm not against the bridge. Sometimes it's nice. The government's going to pay $600,000. But then you have to go to a story. Dave, if somebody gave you a $5 million house, okay, and I'll be out of here, that we'll match 3. I'd say no because I ain't got the 2. And that's where we're at.
Thank you, Dave. I don't mean to seem unkind, but I want to be certain that we get everybody to that microphone that wants to be there this evening. So I will ask that you try to adhere to the 3 minutes. And if I answer your questions and use up some of your time, we'll make sure you get it back. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.